Good morning, my name is Mike Montgomery, and today we are going to install this Lowrance Elite 5 TI Fishfinder on the West Marine Pompano 120 kayak using the Lowrance Portable Kayak Mounting Kit. Fishing is fun, messy installation projects aren't. The Lowrance Portable Kayak Kit gives us an easy way to install a fish finder so you can spend more time catching fish. Before you start the installation, make sure you have everything you see here. The first step is to install the track. We're going to install on the right hand side because I'm right-handed and this is the easier side for me to operate the Elite 5. A couple things to keep in mind. Anytime you drill in bolts or a hole into any kind of boat, make sure it's sealed. Most boaters will use some sort of silicone to seal. We're going to use butyl tape today, which is a less messy alternative. There are a few things to consider when installing a fish finder on any kayak. Most importantly is the location of the display. You want it close enough to operate and see without getting in the way of your paddling. We've loosely attached the track with fasteners at the end. Now we're drilling all the holes in the middle to make sure they're in the perfect place. Now we're taking the track off the kayak, sizing the butyl tape, cutting it to the correct length, and applying it to the track. Notice that the backing of the butyl tape is facing me. We're installing the track back on the kayak with the back of the butyl tape removed. This is so much cleaner than silicone caulking that's messy and would be all over my clothes right now. Now we're going to fill in the rest of the holes with the screws that came in the kit, and we're going to show you how to get underneath the kayak and finish with the through hole screws. Make sure all the screws are tight because kayaks tend to flex in the water. Probably the trickiest thing about this installation is getting your hand all the way under the kayak to finish fastening the screws. Make sure to check your kayak. There might be a few different ways you can get your hands underneath the kayak to finish bolting in the track. This is the job I like to give my nephew. Now the track is installed, I'm running a knife right along the edge to clean up the extra tape. Still cleaner than silicone. We've stepped away from the boat and are now building the cell block. You have a few decisions to make on the top of the cell block. Notice all the different holes. These are holes that tell you where you can drill to install the rest of the fish finder that you'll see later in the video. There's a few different options. We're lining up holes for the Elite 5 display right here and options for the transducer mount. Notice I'm lining up my drill right over the crack here, but if you have an extra piece of plywood or a 2x4 that you could confidently drill in, that's the best case scenario. Make sure the lip on the top of the cell block is facing the right way so the front panel can slide on and off easily. Now we're screwing in all of the screws in the cell block. We suggest starting with the bottom. Hey look, it works! Quick gut check before we finalize building the cell block and screwing in all the screws. Let's make sure that the screen is facing in the correct direction. Lining it up here, we notice we have the screen right in front of the kayaker and the transducer mount behind the screen with the adjuster or the knob facing away so that they don't get tangled up when you go to adjust things. Don't forget to put the nuts into the slots before you screw in each bolt. All of the mounts are in place. We like the configuration for how I'm going to use the fish finder, and so we're going to finalize the cell block by screwing in the last 4 screws. We're installing the track slides. Notice I have 3 different positions on both sides. We can have this thing more on the inside of the kayak, centered for stability, or on the outside so you have more room for your feet. I'm securing the cell block using these hand tighteners or hand fasteners that come with the kit. Solid, rock solid. We're going to install the arm that ultimately will put the transducer in the water. We have the aluminum arm, which we'll be able to bend with our hands, and the corrugated tube that goes over the top. I'm going to insert the arm into the ram mount, use the bolts and the nuts that come with the kit. Much like earlier when we built the cell block, make sure you put the nut in the designated area here. A hand screwdriver might work best, but we're going to use the trusty drill. Done. The ideal position of the transducer is this way when you have it in the water, so you want to be aware of that when you install it here at the top. So I'm going to just go ahead and finger tighten it, come back here, then we'll finish up with our drill to get the rest of the bolts in place. Okay. Now we're gonna bend the actual transducer arm. It's aluminum, you can bend it. If you mess up, you can bend it back, don't worry. But the goal here is to get enough arc on it to where the transducer is in the water. Lowrance suggests most of the bend occurs right here. So I'm gonna take it here, it's gonna pivot on the ball joint, then we're gonna bend it. We'll check this once we have the kayak in the water and do the final bend if needed. We think it needs to sit right here ultimately to be perfect. The package comes with 4 zip ties. 2 are going to be used to attach the cable to the arm, and 2 are going to be used to deal with a lot of the extra cable that is wrapped around the cell block. The excess cable is a permanent installation on the cell block, so we're going to just use these 2 zip ties to really secure it so it doesn't come undone while you're using the kayak. Okay. Quick little tip, if you have any pointy parts of your zip tie, angle them away from you. Think about where you're paddling, think about where your knees are, think about where your hands will be, angle them away so you don't get a little extra cut while you're out on the water. Now I'm going to connect the data power cable to the battery here, but first we're going to crimp the connector to the wire. Might be kind of hard to see, but we already have exposed wire. I've twisted it to make sure that they're all together. I'm going to take the connector, guide it as far up as I can, and then crimp it down with these crimpers. Then test with a good hard tug to make sure that it really is secured. If it comes off, start again. Don't feel bad if you drop these connectors 10 times. This is my 20th time doing it. Now make sure you connect the black wire with the negative or black part of the battery. Black goes on black, red goes on red, positive goes on positive, negative goes on negative. Done. In case you're wondering what this yellow wire is, this is an on-off switch for a boat designed to actually turn the Fishfinder on when you turn on the boat. This is a kayak, we're not going to use it, so we're not going to worry about it. Battery slides into the cell block on its side. A couple quick points to show you. We have a little slot for the cable to run out. And this track system, or the sliding part of the block, should go in with ease. So if you feel any tension here, maybe look at the way you've installed the rest of the box. You might have to start over. And the final step is to plug the power and transducer cable into the Lowrance unit and secure it onto the system. And we're done. Now it's time to put the kayak in the water and test that it works. Now let's give it a test. It's always a good sign when it lights up. The installation of the Lowrance portable kayak kit was very easy and not messy. I'm really excited to be able to move this Fishfinder around as my paddling and fishing style change over time. Thank you for watching our West Advisor on how to install a Fishfinder on a kayak. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if there's any videos you want to see, please let us know in the comments. We'll see you on the water.